everything that we get to share actually makes a world of difference in us like really maximizing our resources, our tools, our abilities, and all the things of that nature. Going right into Ignite, capture more leads. We are, yeah, it's been ordered.
Yeah.
It's on its way.
Yeah.
We're in the last leg of lead generation. And if you notice with lead gen, up until this point, we've talked about sphere of influence, open houses, maximizing everyone we know and funneling them into a database for systematic capture, systematic connection, and truly leveraging our social media. So 3 things right there that actually don't cost us any money. We didn't even go into paid ads. We didn't get into like, doing a commercial or any of that stuff. We're talking about just leveraging what's like literally here in our hand. And I don't think it anywhere from 5 to 8 outside of door knocking to invite to an open house, like face to face at the door. We actually haven't even talked about geo farming or specifically going into a neighborhood and cold door knocking a door. Like all today between Facebook Messenger, our own texting, emails, and phone calls, we made, I don't know how many people say yes to our event and a handful of folks that we've been following up with. And without leaving the office, right? We hungered in, we kind of had our to-do list or our knockout list or what we call our success list, and just went kind of right after it, and you still handled stuff that came out of left field. So a lot of what we're talking about from a lead gen standpoint, this is the first time in session 9, and we're actually going to talk about for sale by owner and some other key aspects. And if you notice that it's not even like the biggest portion of it. As you can tell, it's a skills-based and relationship-driven business, and that's what we want to kind of focus most of our time on. We're going to focus on systems that work, prospecting versus marketing, how they go hand in hand, gold mining for referrals, more resources that we can work from, and capturing every lead into our database. You love people, but at the same time, you haven't yet learned to love hunting for them, right? It's like all of our existing relationships that we have. We're totally fine with it. I love most of my neighbors are really cool. The people we know through our kids' school, everywhere that we have great relationships with people, past coworkers, past teammates, all that fun stuff. And we love those relationships. And at arm's length or however we know them, high five, we're cool. But then that second part to it, we haven't learned to love hunting for them. That's the aspect of maybe implanting in their heads that, hey, we're the real estate economists of choice for you guys, right? Or maybe seeking new relationships with people that really could use our services. A lot of our friends outside of, death and divorce and epic job changes, economic changes in their lives, I hopefully never have to sell their house, or neither is Monica.
Yeah.
We love our friends, I won't mention their names, but all of our friends from Cub Scouts and church and all these places. High five, I hope we grow old where we live and we're just friends for the rest of our lives. But in that stream of lifetime, I know that, hey, they may know someone that needs to sell a house and they could talk to us about that, right? Or they themselves may, want to make a change, and here we go, we're there for them. But there's that aspect of loving the game of lead generation, right? It's either supplanting in their head, hey, we're here to help the people and we're going to get into like kind of that messaging and direct offer versus indirect offer. But there's a process of enjoying that outreach, not just inviting to our kids' birthday parties and other events, but also enjoying that portion of winning their mind share when it comes to real estate. All right, and then all this, by the way, congratulations, by getting this far into Ignite, you guys are about halfway through the MREA, or I would say the halfway point of mindset, and you're past the mindset point and the beginning point of shift. So in shift, this is literally all they talk about, is creating relationships with the people the people that know you, like you, and already trust you. Now it's just a matter of education to earn their trust on the real estate portion, and now learning how to kind of build a space where you can attract buyers and sellers, right? Because our number one job is to find ways to get in the path of those individuals, whether they're buying, they're selling, they have questions about real estate. It's how do we plan ourselves there? For Monica and I, we were leveraging an event, right? We're putting an event out there. It's October 15th. We've been promoting it on and off for like last month. And the idea is that, hey, the market shifted, so that we're calling it buying in a shifted market, right? And the idea is like, hey, you're thinking about buying, here are the stats, here are the resources, and here's the tools and people to put it all together. And if you happen to own a house, great. This will help give you some perspective on what buyers are finding and what sellers are experiencing, and whether or not, hey, at the end of the day, it matters what your goals are, right? Because your goals will match them, or your market will match your goals, or your goals will match the market. One or the two would happen. So by having an event, in our case, we put ourselves in the way of everyone we know by inviting them to that event, or having a call to action. Hey, I know this might not be for you, Alessandra. However, who would come to mind that could benefit from understanding the market more before they make a real estate decision, right? And that kind of takes the onus of putting potentially our friendship on the line, and now putting it, hey, it's okay, see you. Ooh, no, for sure. You had a lot of training today. So, for sure. Welcome. Mondays are always tough between mindset, productivity, life. There you go. So the idea with our event, we leverage the event to get into the mind space of having to seize the call, right? Another way, we're going to talk about message and method. Let me move this for Katie to see. I'll move this one over. So there we go. So now we're going to talk about 2 M's of lead generation. It's message and method. The very first part is matching your message should ideally match your market. And at the same time, your message should be making an offer, right? Our market is broken into 2 spaces: our target audience. And our targeted audience is something as simple as our core group of people, our past clients, it could be a geographic area. If you're working with a tile rep, your mentor, your coach, productivity coach, maybe you can break down a farm through land boys and one of those sources, into empty nesters, into divorces. You can actually do that through some of these lead aggregation programs. But then you can specifically target that group, or if you're doing a geographic farm, that target audience will be specific to that space. Monica has her mom's group at kids school, so that 25, 30 parent group would be a specific target audience, right? If we wanted to invite specifically to, I don't know, now I'm thinking of those SOI, but if we wanted to invite specifically to a attorney group, right, that's specifically focused on family law and probate, then that could be a specific target audience to where we could be they always have to get at least 3 realtor contacts. So maybe you can break into being 1, 2, or 3 in that group, and then make an offer for immediate response. It's called MOFR. I don't think they're going to talk about it in these slides, but MOFIR. So MOFIR, make offer for immediate response. You always want to have like a call to action. In this case, like making an offer, you break it down into a direct offer, indirect offer. A direct offer would be, hey Monica, if you were to sell your home and we were able to help you do that, where would you be moving to next? Right. And that would be like a direct offer. We're already assuming you're selling your house and making a move. Or, hey Monica, now let's say we went through a basic, call dialogue. And at the end, I make the offer of, okay, Mon, if we're able to help you sell your condo and then make your move to Woodland Hills by December of this year, is that something you'd go ahead and take advantage of before the rates get any higher? Or whatever the message, or whatever the offer is and messaging is. Indirect offer would be what we're doing in terms of the event. Hey, Monica, we have this event coming up on October 15th. Would you and your husband like to be a part of that? That's an indirect offer, has nothing to do with buying or selling real estate. It's an education event that she's being invited to. And it's an indirect offer because now it's, hey, come and learn. And then maybe there would be a direct offer later to sell, buy, invest in real estate. Another example of indirect offer, and this is where I live most of my calls. Most of my calls live in the space of, hey, Katie, if we were able to, so we were talking, however, wherever we're talking about, however we know each other. And you might mention, Philip, we're not going to do like 100%, right? But I really do need help with a living trust attorney. Mm-hmm. Wow, cool, Katie. If I'm able to introduce you to 2 or 3 people that I know, and you decide on who may be the best fit, if any of them, would that be cool if I started a group text with them and you, or just send you their contact information vice versa? Mm-hmm. That is my make offer for immediate response. 9 times out of 10, they say, sure, send it over. Start me on that group text, whatever. Now, a couple things happen in that. A, likely my credibility with Katie or whoever I'm speaking with went up, like, oh, Philip knows people. I didn't turn around and say, hey, by the way, whenever you do sell your house, put me in your trust or whatever. I don't say anything like that. So my credibility goes up as a resource. If I recommend her over to these attorneys, the attorneys are like, oh, wow, hey, Philip gave me a lead. How cool is that? Right? Now, whether or not they do business, here's a realtor who was like a reverse situation. I was giving them the lead as opposed to them giving the lead to the realtor. Right? So now I'm making not only one contact and growing that relationship, I'm making 3 more contacts with my SLI with my partners, strategic partners on that indirect offer. And now if she's able to get help, whichever person helped them, or maybe she found someone else on Yelp or Avo or whatever, high five, she got the right information. She made the best decision she could make for herself. She interviewed those other guys, gals, got her living trust done. High five, it's a win. Right? Now we can progress into finding referrals, because now we may have earned the right into asking for that. But my point is that we're always either making a direct offer for them to buy, sell, or making an indirect offer. In either case becomes a response. And that indirect offer, and you'll see this in the next slide or the next topic, is about building the relationship, right? So that messaging, especially if you're going to do cold calls. Anyone doing cold calls nowadays? Like, okay, so you're making offers like directly over the phone. Your target audience might be around around listing, could be your farm area, and you're just kind of breaking in. And your direct offer is usually going to be, your indirect offer is, hey, who would you happen to know that would benefit from making a move at this time, right? And then as a side note for you guys, I got this from my math coach today. Because when you're making cold calls, you never ask them directly, right? It's always an indirect question. Do you see a life event that could trigger a move in the next 2 to 3 years? So asking every homeowner, so Katie, again, thank you for taking the time to receive this call. May I ask you a question? Do you see a life event that could trigger a move in the next 2 to 3 years for yourself or your neighbors? Right? And then they might say, well, yeah, in 2 to 3 years, my kids will be in college. And I may consider that at that time, right? Or your neighbors, like a lot of my neighbors, well, not in this neighborhood, a lot of them have young kids, but in our previous neighborhood, a lot of our neighbors were like 90. They were just up there in age, retirees. So you kind of look at those opportunity and spaces, but you can always ask those questions of them, because the key to cold calls isn't specifically targeting them, it's actually indirectly involving them.
Who do you see a life event in the next 2 to 3 years that would trigger?
Do you see a life event that could trigger a move in the next 2 to 3 years?
Or do you see a life event in the next 2 to 3 years that could trigger
Do you see a life event that could trigger?
Do you see a life event
that could trigger a move in the next 2 to 3 years? Or when you're calling and, if you're doing a just list or a just sold, it's, hey, thanks for taking my call. My name is Katie with KW Realty. The reason for my call today is your neighbor's home on blah, blah street is sold for X amount of dollars. The reason I'm calling is that we know when one home sells, typically 2 or 3 more homes go up for sale in the market space. And I was curious to ask you if you knew of any of your neighbors who were thinking of buying, if you knew of any of your neighbors who were thinking of selling at this point. And that is an indirect offer being made, and whatever the response is, that's great. If they actually do give you a referral, holy cow.
Can you do that again?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Just trying to write.
I
know.
can't, I'm so bad, just so
I'm
much.
so bad right now. Not a problem. Okay. Hi, thank you for taking my call. This is Philip with KW Realty. The reason I'm reaching out is that your neighbor's home on 123 Main Street sold for $874,000. And as we know, when one home sells, usually 2 or 3 more come up on the market. And I was curious to find out from you if you knew of any of your neighbors who were thinking of selling at this time. Whatever the answer is, high five. And I will say, oh, by the way, if you were to sell, where would you be moving to next? And I think that's right off the general script. Now if they kind of continue on that conversation, I'll learn more about kind of where they're at. You know, I'll find out, hey, are you working from home? Do you work from home? Do you work in the area? Are you looking at expanding your real estate portfolio? You know, if someone answered the phone call like that and I was able to get through all that, I am totally following up with them. Because generally speaking, Katie would have hung up on me by now. So, but if I do get in that far, that's a pretty good person to talk with. You know, and then the method is one of two things. It can be prospecting or marketing. And either way you want to time block. And the prospecting would be what Katie's doing, what we're doing, calling directly to a targeted audience, right? Or maybe we're calling someone or matching our market, our message with a market condition. That could be, our target audience could be as broad as all of our buyers that we've been working with, or in your case, a set of homeowners in a certain area. So we're going to time block an hour, maybe 2 hours of prospecting. And I would highly do that, at least even 30 minutes, at least get into the activity of 30 minutes of purposeful prospecting, having a list that you work on, and time blocking. Your marketing is also going hand in hand. And I wish I had early on the maturity to understand what marketing was. I thought marketing was simply, oh God, I gotta like learn how to craft emails and all this stuff. It's not necessarily just that. I think, I mean, I had social media in 2014. It's not that I didn't have it. I think I could have gone really far if I embraced videos early on. Like you did a really cool one at your Camarillo open house. That's marketing, right? You get hundreds of views, thousands of views of interaction, impression, maybe a couple of friends in your market DMing you, congratulating you, just different things. That's marketing. Like Alessandra, time blocking for your social media and your reels, that's marketing. Right? Joseph putting together flyers and then distributing that to your neighborhood and all that places, that's marketing. You know, it's like Mode, inviting to the events, talking to your SOI, inviting them to different aspects that are going on in the real estate community, that's marketing. Like Monica sending out 200 invitations today to our event, that's marketing, right? So I didn't have the entrepreneurial maturity to realize the power of that. I just thought too old school. You know, I gotta email blast everyone, get all my systems prepared and pretty. And I could have gotten really far if I was just myself, interviewed other agents or other professionals, made them the stars. I'm a little shy in front of the camera, and then hey, I could have totally leveraged that, right? And then from a time block standpoint, prepare. So this is a 1, 2, 3, right? 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour. So 1 hour preparation, an hour of taking action, making your calls, an hour of maintaining, making sure that you update your database. This is another habit that I didn't get into just until like maybe the last 2 years, where I seriously took my preparation to like a whole nother level. Did less action, but more focused action. And the most important step, what I think is maybe hand in hand with preparation, is the maintenance. So making sure that I take those notes and then convert it into my database, into my command, and saying, okay, this is my conversation with Katie in Cliff Note form, right? And then specifically saying, okay, let me send her, even if it's a typed up email or a typed up send out card, let me send something to her so that I can, you know, even if I don't call her for another 3 months, hey, an email went out or is scheduled to go out and she's going to receive this letter or this little thank you note in 3 days, right? So that maintain part, as crazy as it sounds, it gets you so much further on the calls and contacts that you're making along the way. All right, sorry to beat this into the ground, but Gary Keller dedicates a whole chapter to just this one slide. And I'm in the middle of reading it.
Question.
Sure.
I have 2 quick questions about everything you just said. Number one, this was really silly. When you're have a new contact, you probably put it in your phone. Do you then put it into command one by one, or do you like batch like them all the new contacts like at one time, like twice a month?
That's a great question. So find out when I first got command, there was a way to like save contacts from my phone, and they ended up on command at the exact same time. I don't know how to do that anymore, but I know there's a way to sync it because Andrew had shown us how to do it. And you know what, he doesn't work here anymore, and I've been shameful to ask him the name of it. But I know Scott Leroy has one where they can do that for you, or give you the app within the KW App Store to download or purchase. And I think it's free, but you can sync your iPhone or your Android with it, and anytime you save contact information, it gets added and updated on the system.
Okay, that'd be awesome. You know, anything that can save you time from work like that, you know, you don't have to, you know, anyone could do that.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
No, I
Perfect.
1000% agree with you. Because right now, we kind of hit the easy button in a sense, where we hired a VA last year. And that just made our life a whole lot easier. Now I just send the contact to them, hey Josh, please add Monica, here are her tags, high five, he does it, and he knows what to put them on a quarterly smart plan, and if they have an email address, he knows to put them on monthly neighborhood nurture, all this stuff. And I might give him a list of like locations and things of that nature to work on and work through. Let's see here, but that's a great question. I think early on right now, maybe I love your idea of the social media time blocking, because maybe you dedicate like your Tuesday and Thursday, or Tuesday, Friday, or whatever, but maybe you dedicate 1 day or 2 days to uploading those contacts onto command. Yeah, because then when I did it myself, I also went to Facebook to copy paste their Facebook link, or you know their Facebook page onto their command information as well. Yeah, so it sounded like an extra step, but eventually we taught a VA to do it. And that's the thing, like the more you do this stuff, the more you realize, this is the 80% of nurture work that, wow, I've been doing it for a period of time. I'm doing sales. I'm making more money than I need to cover my own personal. What's the next logical thing to do? Before you do that, get a coach. So then you like 10x your business. But then after you get your coach and you're 10xing your business, now you have all your systems and you're like pulling out your hair because you're like, wow, I'm helping more people than ever, and I'm maxing out my time. Now you've kind of done the stuff to where now you can hire a virtual assistant and say, hey, virtual assistant partner, this is what I normally do. This is what I'm hiring you to do. Right? There's some great companies out there that you can leverage and all that stuff.
Great, because I can see the contacts being something easy to like not do, not update, forget it. But that's like your leads and stuff, you know. So it's important, but not urgent, you know, in the moment. That whole square thing, that's really important thing. Okay, I have another quick question, last one. Sure. When you write your notes, when you write your thank you notes after calls and stuff, do you also time block that and do all, or do you do like right after, like you make your phone call, you finish for the hour, and then you start like writing away? Great question. So I'll tell you this from 3 different perspectives. When I first did the daily 10-4, when I was brand new, I found early on I could never do them. I would get maybe 2 or 3 letters done and just felt like, my God, that's a lot to write, you know, and still do. And so what I learned early on was when I did do them, I dedicated like the late afternoon to it. So I would normally get my kids, or my son, he was getting out early, around 12:30. So maybe around early on, I did it right after picking him up, or I would park and then have like the cars just right in my car. And then later on, when he was able to get out of school later, I kind of did a real piss poor job of writing notes. Instead of doing 10, I was maybe getting to 5 or 6 or 7. And then I started having collection day, where like I did all of them at the end of the week, but then my writing got really sloppy at the end. I tried hiring my brother. That was a terrible idea. It didn't, you know, that ended quickly. Well, what I found for me that worked, and it might be a small investment, is look into something like send out cards or something equivalent to that, where you're typing it on your phone, texting it on your phone, and a physical letter gets mailed out. Right. So I do that now through our VA, and he just has access to it. He does my birthday cards, our home anniversaries, and my thank you notes for taking the call. Awesome. So now I create this task. Yeah, exactly. And then he has his template of copy and paste, which I eventually started doing after a while. Hey, Alexander, thank you for taking the call. So all I had to do is just fill in your name and then add in a personal blurb at the bottom.
about our interaction, right?
Yeah.
So, and now it's just more of a generic thank you. And then other times when I meet somebody, I'm physically texting the send out card. Early on though, if I were to do this all over again, and I didn't have send out cards, I agree with you. I would take that hour of maintain and chunk it into my maintain hour. So let's say in my preparation, I lined up, 20 people I'm going to call. In my second hour, I called the 20 people, updated some of the notes as I'm calling them. And then step 3 to maintain, I made on that one, I might be typing up my emails, my DMs, or my physical handwritten notes, and then getting those out there. So that could be your 3 hour of protected lead generation time. Could be something that's preparation, clearing emails, and messages, taking action on your calls, and updating your database as you go. And then 3 would be the send out cards and maybe you're adding them to new campaigns, or you're finding them on social media or something along those lines. So hopefully that helps, because I want to be able to make sure we're sharing this from not just the perspective we're at now with administrative help, but then also from the standpoint of, holy cow, I was there. So, and I made a lot of mistakes because early on, it was just make the contacts, everything else will solve itself. So I was a little extreme in my approach. But we're here now. But again, I think you guys can totally build way better habits this way than what we were doing our way, right? So, but great questions, by the way. If you have more, keep them going, because that is a fantastic question.
I will. Thank you so much.
Oh, most welcome. Now leads are everywhere, literally everywhere you go. Approach, connect, ask, right? I use this example. I use the example of a lady, she was a marketing rep, and in Charlotte, North Carolina, she gets into an elevator, just whatever, and then all of a sudden this very put together 6'6" man walks in. It turns out to be Michael Jordan. And so they're going up this elevator all the way to whatever floor, and she's just like, quiet. Oh my God, it's Michael Jordan, right? And Michael kind of seen her from time to time and knew she was in marketing of whatever, right? She markets that building for her services and company. And then they get to a floor, Michael steps out, turns around and says, hey, you missed your opportunity. And then just keeps on walking away, and that was it. So here's the legend of legends saying, hey, you missed your opportunity, calling a spade, right? And from that point on, she says, never again will I miss an opportunity. So this was about an elevator pitch, putting together your 2-minute story, like Monica loves to call it, but it's like a 2-minute introduction or less. And so she formulated hers. It changed her life. She eventually wrote a book about it. That's where that whole story came from. And then she had the opportunity of doing it one more time, where she wasn't getting in an elevator with Michael Jordan of all people and didn't miss a beat. Oh, and she was an advertiser, like marketing space for the Charlotte area, if that makes sense. So again, that time she got the sale, got the appointment, and eventually they got the contract. But yeah, that was the power of just asking, approaching, connect, and ask. Right? Connect, ask, or introduce the idea of the business. I think real estate, especially now more than ever, speaks for itself. Because before it was, oh wow, Alexander, you're in real estate? Monica, you're in real estate? Man, it must be on fire. Holy cow, you guys must be super busy. Now it's the same thing. It's kind of like, oh wait, you're in real estate? Whoa, what's going on? I own a house, whatever they say, real estate will always bring itself up. Right? And the biggest part is approaching, finding out more about them. That's the connecting part. Naturally, when you ask people what do they do and what's been happening in their world, they will ask you or ask us at some point, what do you do? And then ask for the follow-up, ask for the contact information. Hey, Alexander, this was an awesome conversation. And you know what? I know we've got the party thing going on right now, and just our heads are all over the space. Hey, what's the best way I can text you on Monday? And we can get connected later in the week. Oh, 818, blah, blah, blah. Take their information first and then give them your card. Don't give them your card first. Text them first and then give them your card. So I know. I carry my cards everywhere I go. Here they are. But I found if I text them first, now I have their information. Awesome. Oh, by the way, you have my number, but here's also my card. Looking forward to getting connected with you on Monday, blah, 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 at this time. Awesome, right? We're gonna fly right into prospecting versus marketing. Thank you, Jacqueline. I thought I saw Jacqueline jump on here. Oh, no, she jumped out off here. Okay. Lead generation is a contact sport with simple rules. It means making contact with people through prospecting and marketing. Excuse me. And that marketing portion, when you're putting together the reels, when you're doing the live videos, when you're doing the little mini clips, when you're doing the posting, that's an opportunity for contacts. Like just like what we built upon in the last one of the last ignites, I think that was session 7. It was build, post, and ghost, right? Engage with the people who are commenting on there, right? Acknowledge their comment, acknowledge their emojis. If they're DMing you, I mean, maybe not be the guy or gal who speed like right away, but within a timely manner. Don't let it sit for 3 days. try within 24 hours to get back to their DM, or from Friday or from Saturday to Monday. Try to do your best to get back on there with them. And again, I'm speaking from my own experience of making the mistake of not reaching out, of actually posting and ghosting. That was me, right? So don't do what this guy did. You'll get way further by just engaging, right? Now the other part of it is making contacts, like Katie, who probably left to pick up her kids from school, like us. One of the biggest items is direct contact. Who are we specifically calling and reaching out to make those contacts every day? And our standard here is 10 contacts a day, with the intention of building that up to 20. But the idea is start with 10 and make that your way of doing things. And 5 can be non-verbal, meaning can be DM, text messages, two-way conversation. The other 5 could be contacts, like a physical contact face-to-face, conversation over the phone, and building that space up. Now, the likelihood to make a move, and we're going to start, these numbers may start extending out further. So this is where the indirect offer makes a ton, really helps embed you as a resource. But at the end of the day, Gary Keller says you're either the number one or two person in your mind when it comes to selling real estate, buying real estate. So when you boil that down, it's being the real estate economist of choice, right? And in this time frame, from the time that they made their first move with you to the next, could be about 7 to 10 years for it to really make sense. And again, death, divorce, economic changes in their world. A lot of people are feeling a different economic swing, especially a lot of my entrepreneurial friends. A lot of us just kind of crushed it, made a ton of money, and now the outlook isn't looking too great, right? For various industries, or just just different things that we're all going through. So here in the time in the valley, as they're living life, this is where we take mind share. More realtors come out of the business. We keep ourselves in the business with a long-term attitude and a short-term, hey, who would you know that would benefit from the information I just shared with you? Usually the question I use to transition for referral. And we build that time until they move or until life happens. And we can help them direct, or we can indirectly help the people they know by indirect. We can directly help the people they know by indirectly helping our clients through the stages of their life, right? We saw this before, that heavy prospecting and immediate results is proactive, it's time intensive. The marketing is kind of more long-term. Those videos that we make and the Sevilla Saturdays and the Reels, it's long-term. It plants in the seed of our sphere's mind, our market's mind, our target audience's mind, that, oh, cool, they're in real estate, they're having fun doing their thing. It's more passive, right? I'm not exactly like watching every step of it. Once it's out there, it's out there. I might engage on the DMs and on the posting, but that's kind of the extent of it. And it could be money intensive, right? Like our marketing plan now, like nothing crazy, $100 to $200 a week, but we put that into our KW paid command leads, right? Our paid ads. But that's something that we just decided to do recently. In the years past, we never did any of it. We just kind of kept it strictly to our personal social media, business social media. Prospecting, again, there's so many ways to do it. If you guys want to screenshot this, but this is where we're heavy on phone or face-to-face, and we really do it through our key relationships. We're now getting into number 5 for us, which is teaching and speaking opportunities. And this is a lot of, you have the same amount of money someone would invest into a farm. We're just doing it into events, right? Or the same money people will put into billboards and ads. We're going to invest it into events and having, opportunities for our SOI and the public to come out and meet. Networking events, this is stuff thrown by the board and other organizations. Booths and kiosks, we kind of messed up the idea. I don't know if we're actually going to do any of that stuff. Walk-ins are pretty rare here at the office, but the biggest ones could be just maybe your number one, phone or face-to-face, and maybe community outreach, volunteering from a standpoint of a place that you truly want to give from. Let's see here. Here's different marketing aspects. I think we hit really hard on the social media aspect, and the social media page. I mean, again, this is a lot of free opportunities that don't cost us any big time money. Now, believe me, when you take a look at the slide in 2 years, or when you read shift every year that you read it, MREA, the books that you read every year, you're going to be in a different space. And maybe at that point, radio might be something that interests you because of where you're at later on in your career, right? What doesn't resonate with you now is okay. Don't throw the baby out with bathwater, right? Just leave it there, let it percolate, and then come back in a year and you're going to say, holy cow, sponsorship is a big part of our business now, or can be a big part because we network with so many people. How can we convert this into a shared marketing experience? Ooh, Dave, think about that one. Number 8. Look up. Seriously.
Network event?
No, number 7, sponsorship. Bam. We did networking events. Yeah, see. Well, again, we just had an aha moment, right? But years ago, when I first saw this, I just want to survive. I just want to make a deal and try and get out of here. Now that's been helping us build a 1-3-5. You might have farming as part of one of your lead generation pillars, events, networking, and then your purchased clients, your clients who purchased with you. So this is if you were building a 1-3-5 or 1-4-5 for the year, you can definitely copy something like this and build it out. Getting into gold mine and referrals, always provide value. I'm not one to use the KW app. I tend to grab the contact information and then call and follow up. Now we are using the KW app because it's part of our email signature now and other things that we use. The share market statistics, we now put that as part of our monthly newsletter, or that's being embedded in there, and then provided vetted vendor lists. And we don't actually shoot one out, but when we were role playing with Katie, that conversation about the living trust does come up very often because it's a good ask, right? I might ask, hey, Katie, I know you're set and solid with your home and everything you have going on. And I notice here, let's say you're making cold calls. I notice here that it's solely in your name. You mentioned that you plan on leaving the home to your family. Are you familiar with the probate process in the state of California if you don't have a living trust set up? 9 times out of 10, they say no. Well, how does that work? Great. And I might give them the brief cliff notes on setting up a living trust. And then that is how I provide a vendor list by going case by case scenario. And then people know to call me or call Monica for different resources. Always ask. Got to ask for referrals. They won't give it to us unless we ask. So, and when we get to ask, and I say get to ask, is by earning the right to ask. We provide the value, we educate, we answer questions, and the way we ask for referrals is, hey, Monica, we just kind of went over the living trust aspect. Who else do you think you would know would benefit from meeting a qualified trust attorney, right? Or if I go through like the market stats with her, hey, you know what? Don't pull the plug. Your home is safe, equity's still solid. I think the biggest question is payment on the mortgage, and you guys are super comfortable with that. No need to panic. You guys are technically not really affected by this, unless you were thinking of selling this moment and you were living with the regret of not selling when the market was high. Then you're good. And then she's like, oh, that's awesome. And my conversion question to ask for referral is, hey, by the way, who else would you know that would benefit from having this type of conversation together, right? And then that would be like an in for, oh, yeah, my friend Diane or whoever that she feels would be a great match. And then I can ask for the number, all that stuff, and then reward the referral okay, early on, if you're on a poor man's budget like I was, it was very difficult to get a $5 gift card to Starbucks and mail that out to somebody, right? So early on, a title rep, Lisa Crown, who is with Fidelity and now it's Ben and Jamie, they dropped off a $1 scratcher ticket, and it changed my life. Not that I won any money; it was still zero. The $1 scratcher ticket, in my mind, $5 was too much, but a $1 scratcher ticket on a handwritten note that I was already sending out anyway. Thank you for the referral. You know, thinking about you, or thank you for the introduction. Don't use the word referral, use the word introduction. Hey, thank you for the introduction to Eddie Jones. Really appreciate you. I wish you the best of luck in our continued success together. And then that's the ticket in there, right? And somebody, you know, a couple of those times they won a couple $100, which kind of neat. And then the thank you handwritten note goes with the referral, which is always fun. And then your rewards can evolve as your business evolves, right? Agent to agent, I wanted to make this really kind of out there. So people early on were like, Philip, why do you network with other realtors? It's almost self-defeating. Well, I'll tell you, a lot of the realtors I happened to network with were really up there in age, right? And it wasn't about the age that they couldn't like take care of their own clients. They were at a point where they were so happy about sharing their knowledge. So I was able to get decades of failure, of wins, of what worked for them, what didn't work, of how to handle different things, all condensed into small networking chunks and a relationship with them. I didn't take into account that they had business to refer until later on when this lady, Dottie Nagatoshi, 80-something years young, said to me at a network meeting, hey, Philip, I got a buyer or a seller. She wants to sell her 4-unit apartment and I don't want to drive to LA. I don't want to deal with it. Can you do it for a 25% referral? I'll take 25, Philip, you get 75. And I was like, yes, 100%. We sold that bad boy for almost $1 million. And the commission for me was like $18,000 or whatever that was, right? And that didn't end there. Got another referral recently with another person that wanted to buy a house. And again, ended up selling for 6 something. Commission on that was a little over $20,000. He made 5, we made 15, 16,000. Everyone was happy, right? And very lastly, the agent to agent referrals evolved, especially in this market, guys. Alexandra, Joseph, Mode, Monica, hear me on this. A ton of our brethren who are getting into the business will be out of the business pretty quickly. And this is an opportunity to capture that market space. We have our referral network within KW, 25%, 30%, 35%, 50% across the board. Anyone, anywhere needs to buy a house, you have a referral network to connect them. And we have our worldwide referrals. Yeah, for goodness sake, we can sell real estate in Israel. Insane. We can sell in Italy. I didn't know that's where your family's from, Alessandra, but Italy, Philippines, El Salvador, I believe, has.
No, it's similar. It's back, but not. It doesn't go pay.
KW, yeah.
Do it back, yeah.
Right, but then you know you can pretty much throw a dart almost and hit a place that would be in a KW market center. On business to business referrals, we're not going to jump into it right this moment. But if you wanted to farm businesses, like Monica was saying, like you gave me an idea. I'm going to do a shout out for Beach Training Academy. You know, jiu-jitsu place that our kids go to, and for scouting. But being able to do stuff that we actually are subscribers for, and they already have our money, and we're giving them our money for our kids time there.
Yeah.
We're going to like promote that, and that's like a business to business build out as well. More sources, geographic farming, and I'm going to kind of blaze through this. Events and seminars. These are things that we kind of touched on. Everywhere you go, coffee shop, repair shop, hair salons. And then every day, to Alexander, to your point, it wouldn't hurt to like time block even 30 minutes if it meant clearing through. I dedicate my first 30 minutes of my working morning, called my first and 10. And sometimes that's just like clearing my missed calls and returning voicemails, and then taking that information and inputting into my command base. Now it takes me 30 minutes because most of it I delegate to my VA to input. But before that, it took me like an hour, an hour of preparation maintenance, if you want to call it that. Before I got into like my hour of power, like my thicker calls and lead follow-up and all that good stuff. So you guys really could be putting in an hour, 4 hours, 1 hour prep, 1 hour lead follow-up, 1 hour new calls or hour power calls, 1 hour maintenance. And that would be your 4 hours of concentrated lead generation. You know, as a plan, and this is where screenshotting is connect with your sphere, build and feed your database, capture leads from open houses, build community with social media and capture leads, execute some sort of referral strategy, meaning, hey, from the time someone invites someone to connect with me, I'm going to send them a scratcher ticket or a $5 gift card to Starbucks, right? And then I'm going to follow up and give them an update when we transact and give them another, like this time a $5 gift card or a $10 gift card to Amazon or something. Choose a geographic area to focus your door knocking efforts. And I can say this now because I finally bought into the idea of doing this. And then consider events and seminars. That's something Mike and I kind of fully jumped into. I'm gonna take a picture of that. Hang on, guys. That is worth nothing but All right, cool. And then ahas, continue guys on your 10 daily 10-4. 10 contacts a day. We'll take 5 as two-way text conversations. Stay on your handwritten notes as much as possible. Handwritten notes. I know it sucks, but if you can do the handwritten notes, it's going to go a long way. Add 10 to your database or edit the 10 if you did the super transfer. And then lastly, your 10-5-1 with 10 likes, 5 genuine comments, 1 direct message or posting or reshare on your Facebook or proven social media database. And thank you guys for jumping on with us for the extra time as well. And you guys have an amazing day. Thank you, Moj. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Alejandra. Thank you, Dave. And we'll see you guys later. See you.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Monica. Have a good day.
Bye, Joseph.
You guys too. Take care.
Bye, bye.